Hey everybody, welcome back to the homestead. My name is Emily. Today we are going to do the August garden tour. The garden has changed so much in the last month. Weeds have retaken the pathways again, but not nearly as bad, so I can still walk up and down them. But everything has grown a ton. I've started harvesting and preserving, and I'm really excited to show you the changes. If you go back and watch the July garden tour, you will just see what a huge difference a month has made. The first row over here, I have my okra. I thinned these out recently, and then they kind of have taken off. They're still pretty small, but I mean, they get bigger every single day, so I'm excited about that. There were some holes that didn't germinate, and I added some cosmos that are going. I added another row in the middle here of some holes and put, I think, mammoth sunflowers in these holes. Most of them have come up. There's another cosmo. And more cosmos. And this one apparently is struggling. I'm not sure what happened to that one, but the rest of them seem to be doing pretty good of the okra. Now, think I had also put cosmos in this hole and nothing's come up, but that's okay. Then the next section is my spaghetti squash. They are growing more slowly than the squash over in the other part of the garden. And mostly I think that has to do with I started them later and then I had to reseed them. And so, of course, the ones that I reseeded seem to have almost caught up with the ones from the first round. That, man, they took like 20 days to germinate. I looked back at the seed packet and saw that it could take 14 to 21 days to germinate, and they took every single one of those days. So it was a patience game for me to wait to see if they actually came up. And most of them did. There was one or two holes, I can't remember, that didn't germinate anything that I reseeded. But now they're doing pretty well. They will catch up with all the other squashes. But I added holes in the front and in the back of this row. In the back I put sunflowers, and I haven't gotten very good germination with those. And in the front I put zinnias, and some of them have germinated. So we'll be getting some more flowers later in the season. Those things, it was an afterthought, but I really wish I had thought of it sooner. Yeah, I did have a couple sunflowers come up, but I think something ate them because they are gone now. This next row over here, we've got the Pink Surprise Calendula at the end. I haven't really been picking the flowers because I'm not sure if this variety can be used medicinally, but I'm just letting them go to seed, and then I've been saving the seeds. These are dry enough that I can come pick them off, but not all of them are. So they're kind of petering out, probably because I haven't been picking anything. The more you pick blooms, usually the more blooms that you get. And then I've got some of my indeterminate tomatoes on this cattle panel trellis. Starting to get some nice big tomatoes. I think this one might be blushing. That's exciting. I think it's a big pink. They always seem to be, let me check the tag. Yeah, big pink. They seem to be the earliest of all the varieties. My tags are facing the opposite direction on these, so it's hard to tell from this side what's going on. I've got some more zinnias. These are actually green envy, but they look, pretty yellow. They're neat. It's a nice variation. And I've got some green onions here too on this side, if you can see, for all the weeds. And we did harvest these for something for dinner a little bit ago, and they're doing okay. I am worried on this trellis that I might be getting a little bit of blight. I'm not sure if that's what that is, which is really disappointing. Oh goodness, this one really looks terrible. So I'll let them keep going. I've got lots of tomatoes, so if I have to pull these out, I would be really bummed. But then I'll have to, I guess, if that's what I need to do. These are really pretty. These are my blueberry cherry tomatoes, and they look so cool. They're like a dark purple right now. They're not ripe for sure. It's gonna be a while. There's another big tomato down there. And these are my Black Russians. You can see they're starting to get dark on their shoulders there. So I'm excited about those. Now on to, and the last tour was an embarrassment. It still kind of is. But it is doing surprisingly better. This little tunnel, and I'll uncover it to show you the difference. Okay, so we've got the volunteer potatoes in here, and they are doing fantastic, but weeds and grass have just really overtaken this whole thing, and that is the embarrassing part right now. I have a few radish seeds that I planted right after I planted the brassicas, and then a bunch of them died. I came in and put seeds in, and then they didn't germinate until kind of recently. But it's been so hot that, you know, they're not really getting bulbs on them. They're teeny tiny, too small really to eat. But some of them are going to seed already. But I like eating the pods, so I'll just let them go. And hopefully I'll be able to plant some more radish seeds in a little bit, because the weather's surprisingly cooling off. It's still getting into the 80s, but like this morning, it's really cool. It's only 70 right now, but it is supposed to get into the 80s later today. So it's been a lot nicer. We've had cool mornings and cool evenings, and then hot during the middle of the day. So maybe I'll be able to plant some radishes. I do have some more brassicas and lettuces started in my basement under the grow lights. So hopefully those will get to come back out into this area soon, maybe in a month or so. And we'll see if they have time to produce, because we do have kind of a shorter season here. Our first frost is the very end of September, the estimated one. So it can come earlier than that, or it could come later than that. I'll do my best to protect them with frost fabric, or perhaps make some sort of greenhouse situation with some plastic. We'll see. So after this potato, there's just a whole bunch of grass. Oh, there's another potato. That one kind of surprised me. And then my cabbages. Here over are Copenhagen cabbages. I'm not sure what this one is because I can't find the tag in all of the grass. It might be a golden acre. And then I noticed this morning while I was opening this up that there is one cabbage right there. It's teeny tiny. So we'll see what it does. But that's an early Jersey Wakefield. None of my mammoth red rock survived. I think this is where they would have been, or perhaps over there. But then I have kale. So the kale is doing great. I'm really excited about this. So I'm going to need to harvest some of this soon, because it is definitely ready to start harvesting. I've got the Premier kale and the Red Russian kale. All of my dino kale died, but I'm glad that this is doing so well. This is exciting. I didn't think I was going to be getting much kale this year. And I didn't start new kale seeds in the basement, so this was going to be it for this year. So I'm glad to see these are doing so well. Then we've got some broccoli. This is the purple sprouting broccoli, and honestly, it's surprising me as well. That one is doing excellent. And then we've got some Deciso broccoli here that is also doing better than I expected it to. And oh, what I just saw. This, it is one icicle radish. Oh my goodness, there's another one there. I'm going to pick these right now because I don't want to forget about them and have them go to seed on me. That was pretty tiny, but that's okay. Yay, I have radishes. Anything else in there? Mostly grass. I think these may have been the only two to survive. Oh no, there looks like there's maybe one more there. So I might get another one. But that's pretty cool. I'll come back for you, I promise. Then this is some Sun King broccoli right here. It's still okay. It's alive. And I can see a tag here. I planted something over there. Purple rutabagas, and as you can see, nothing happened. Grass and weeds happened. And then down here, I believe this is kohlrabi. I think it's a purple kohlrabi. It is not bulbing up. It looks beautiful, but no bulb yet. So I might just use it for the leaves. Maybe use them like the kale. We'll see, but I'm also kind of surprised about this. Overall, this bed has been a roller coaster of emotions. I was so excited when I planted it because the starts were doing so well, and then I was so bummed when they got frozen, and I thought everything was going to die. And then now I'm pleasantly surprised that some of it is doing okay. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes for this bed. Now, the next bed, I mean, I'm not going to walk down this bed. I'll just show you a glance, but it's the carrot and onion bed, and it's a disaster. So, you won some, you lose some. This year is definitely a loss for onions and carrots, for the most part. Can you even really tell where the bed is supposed to be? There are so many weeds. Obviously, it's this section here with between the Horreolism with all the milkweed in it. But there are a few carrots here and there. This section is pretty good. I still have not come and thinned, which mostly I need to do on this side. This next row has a good chunk of carrots, and I really need to come thin them. They're actually getting pretty big, but they go down to about where this first cattle panel ends, and then that's kind of where my germination for carrots also ends, even though I planted them all the way down. And then on the other, I guess underneath of the trellis, I planted my second round of seeds for baby Persian cucumbers. And they are doing much better. They're far behind the other cucumbers in the other part of the garden because I did have to replant them. But they'll take off eventually. I planted flower seeds along here. I've got some zinnias right there and one sunflower that looks like something's chomping on it. But I planted something else along here and I can't remember what it was, but it's not coming up, which is sad. And my peas are done. I pulled these out and was hanging them to save the seeds, so I need to come back and get the seeds. I've got this lettuce hadn't bolted yet, but now it has. It was bitter anyway, so I wasn't eating it, but this is all going to go to the chickens. My regular calendula has started to bloom. This is the one and only bloom. I saw it opening up yesterday, and it's got a little friend visiting. So, that's fun. I will be harvesting this blooms, but not while that little guy is visiting. And I have a volunteer dill from last year, so that's exciting. I will get dill this year, not very much of it, but that's nice. And I've got my Elijah sunflowers here, and hopefully they get nice and big because I would like to save seeds. I don't think I have any more seeds. If I do have any more seeds from this sunflower, it's like 1 or 2. So I'd really like to save more seeds of this because it is sentimental to me. And then these are the other kind of peas, and I need to come and take these seeds. I didn't pull out all of these plants. Not all of these plants were dead enough or dry enough for me to do that with, but I think now that they are to that point that I can pull the rest of them and hang them upside down until they're fully dry. But there's definitely tons of seeds in here that I'm going to be saving. So it doesn't look great now, but it has potential. Potential for next time. Then the final row over in this section of the garden is my Roma style and then some more indeterminate tomatoes. The Roma style tomatoes are now in cages. I had to go buy 6 more cages because I didn't have enough. And I don't like tomato cages very much, but to grow this many Romas in this space, it makes more sense than trying to do cattle panels. Definitely less expensive, and since they're indeterminate, they should mostly stay within these cages. I feel like they're growing slow in comparison to the indeterminate tomatoes, but that's probably just because they only get so tall. And I've come and pruned a couple times, just the leaves on these, not fruiting stems, or suckers, or what are they called? Yeah, suckers, things that come out of the armpits. I'm leaving all of that on the indeterminates, leaving all of those on the determinants because they only grow so much. The indeterminates will grow and grow and grow, so I can prune them a lot more heavily. I've got some basils in here that I did come and harvest the other day. Around the whole garden, I harvested all the basil, and it's doing surprisingly well this year for me. I historically have struggled growing basil at all, and if I do, I usually get just like a little bit of it, but this year I've actually gotten enough to dry, and like I filled a pint jar. I mean, they're not crushed really finely or anything like that. It's not crumbled, but I can fit more in that jar for sure, and I hope to do that. We've also been coming and picking basil fresh to put on our pizza, which we're kind of in a lull of pizza right now because of my gluten-free lifestyle that I have to figure out now. But I have been experimenting with pizza crust recipes. The first one was not great. The second one was better, but I'm still looking for something that's really good. So if you have a gluten-free pizza crust recipe that you know works and doesn't get rock hard and will stay together, let me know in the comments. That would be excellent if you shared that. I also planted marigold seeds all along here around the determinate tomatoes, and I have not seen any come up. I put some sunflower seeds here that I don't see coming up, and I put nasturtiums all along this side this side was all marigold seeds. The other side was all nasturtiums, and I put nasturtiums all the way down the other side of the determinants, and none of them have come up. So that was very disappointing. So the weeds have just taken over. But here are more indeterminate tomatoes. These don't look like they're getting any damage. This one, that one does have something going on, but the rest of them don't have, browned leaves and things like that. But I think these are Tommy Toes. They're getting lots of tomatoes on them. This is probably the big pink again. My tags are on the other side again. Yep, that's the big pink. They are blushing, so we're gonna get some nice tomatoes pretty soon. The name Big for these is silly because this is about the size that they grew the last time I grew them. And apparently it was not a fluke because they are, again, you know, kind of small. They're not living up to their name, but they will be pink. They'll live up to that part at least. Got more of the blueberry cherry tomatoes here. These are just so cool. I'm in love with these. I hope they taste great because they look really cool while they're growing. And my mystery tomato, it's got a couple tomatoes on it. There's one there, and there's one down there. I'm excited to figure out what that is. And we also have some bunching onions on this side of the trellis. And one sunflower has come up. Yay. I planted flowers along this edge over here. And I don't know if it was the weeds or my watering schedule or what, but a lot of those flower seeds just didn't come up. I thought I had seen at some point that there was a marigold or two, but I can't find them now in the weeds. They may still be in there somewhere, and maybe they'll surprise me by the next garden tour. We'll see. So along this side of this trellis is the hibiscus. It's definitely a perennial. I talked to my sister and my mom, where I got the seeds from them, and they're like, oh yeah, that's definitely a perennial one. So I will have to find a more permanent spot to keep these because they will get big, and I don't want them in my vegetable garden. But for now, this is where they live. Now on to the new section of garden. I really need to come up with names for the two sections of garden instead of old and new, original and new, you know. But, I mean, they're both in ground. They're both rows, so I'm not really sure how to differentiate the two sections yet. So again, if you've got suggestions on what I can call those two sections of garden, I'd appreciate it because I'm currently stumped at the moment. I'm also really excited about this section of the garden. It is doing amazing, especially for a first year area that just got tilled up. These are the potatoes. The reds still are kind of sparse. They never really filled in, but the middle filled in a little bit more, and the end down there filled in more. So I'm excited about that. Some of them are starting to die back. So I think potato harvest will be coming in the not too distant future. But they've been doing pretty well. I've only seen a few Japanese beetles in here, and really they were more on the green beans than the potatoes. So I haven't really seen many pests. Of course there's grasshoppers, but they haven't been doing too much damage, thankfully. And then I've got my green beans. These again are Blue Lake bush beans coming down here, and then this row as well. I've been coming out and picking about every other day, and I've already canned 23 pints of green beans, and I'm going to be canning some more today. So I've decided to go with the schedule of pick one day, can the next day, and I've been getting pretty big baskets of green beans every other day now. So this is exciting. I'm pretty sure we're going to meet our goal of growing enough green beans for an entire year. It is a lot of work. It takes a long time to go through all of these rows, and for a while I was thinking, oh, maybe instead of picking every other day, I'll pick half one day, half the next day. But then I still have to at some point can those. So I think sticking with the picking every other day, canning every other day will be basically what I go with. for the rest of the life of these green beans. Now, this side of this row is much darker green than this side, and this part over here, these are more, this half and those are more yellow almost. So I'm not sure what it is that this particular section of the row is doing so much better. And there are more beans on this section of the row as well, probably because they are healthier. So not sure what that's about, but I mean, I'm so happy I'm getting so many beans, and it's exciting. My peppers have started to come in. I've definitely picked some peppers. These are the cayennes, and this one has quite a few on it. It had the very first one. I accidentally knocked off the plant when I was trying to just show it to my husband. So I was like, you know, it's still green. It's probably not that hot yet. Let's just give it a taste. It was so hot. I was able to chew and swallow like a little bite that I had, but my husband was not. He had to spit it out. And then we took it inside to see if the kids wanted to taste it. One of them just touched it with their tongue and thought they were going to die. And the other two took little bites and, you know, put on a big show. But it's hot. So I'm going to wait till these get completely red, completely ripe. And then the plan is to dry them to use for cayenne powder, because I do use that in cooking. I'll just put like a dash or two when I'm making chili. Maybe just a single dash instead of a double dash now that it's going to be very fresh. It's probably going to be spicier because it's so fresh. At least I have the feeling. So this is probably going to last a long time as well, because there's quite a bit of peppers. I don't use a ton of it in my cooking, but I do use it. It's one of those things I was just like, I could grow this, and so I'm going to try to grow this. Next year, I have plans to try to grow my own peppers for chili powder and paprika, if I can find the seeds for those. So that is the plan for next year's peppers. So I probably will not be growing the cayenne next year, because this should be enough, hopefully, for a couple of years, because I've got 5 plants and they're putting on quite a few peppers. But I guess we'll see what happens. Next to the cayennes are the jalapenos. And they are coming on. I do usually pick most of them green, but I will save some and let them get red so I can have both red and green for my cowboy candy, because it looks more festive that way than just green. Last year when I made it, I only had green jalapenos because I had to buy them at the store because none of my peppers grew last year. I've got 2 varieties in here. There's an early jalapeno, which I already had seeds for. That's what those smaller ones I was showing you. And then there's a Tam jalapeno. Let's see if I can find one that's ready, because they are bigger. They are bigger than... Now I've got them mixed in with the shishitos over here. This one's definitely a Tam jalapeno. These are getting much longer and they're pointier on the end than the early jalapenos. So I think I like this plant better, because there are 2 things that I want to grow the jalapenos for. One is cowboy candy, so it doesn't really matter the size of the pepper for those. But the second one is jalapeno poppers, and the size of the pepper does matter for those. So I'm thinking that these Tam jalapenos are going to be a better fit for that particular use. We've also got shishito peppers here. Oh, that's a jalapeno plant. Here's a shishito. Here's a shishito. We've already eaten these for dinner once, and there's probably several in here that I could pick again. And they are really yummy. Occasionally you'll get a spicy one, but mostly they are pretty mild. And then my bell peppers. This one, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick today. Because it's got some bug damage. And, come on. But it's an okay size. There's lots of them in here. And I think I'm going to come in and pick kind of the bigger ones off. So that hopefully they'll produce more. See if I can find some more. This plant has like 3 of them. One there, one here, and one on the back here. There it is. So these are doing awesome. They're also pretty small, but I'm also hoping that if I come and pick these smaller peppers that the plants will continue to get bigger and continue to produce and produce more peppers. That is the idea. And here are the jalapenos, the not spicy jalapenos. So here is one of them. This, I haven't harvested any of these yet. Let me see if I can get one. And I haven't tasted them either to see if they really are not spicy. Go ahead and give it a try. A little scary at first because it definitely tastes like a jalapeno. But it's not spicy. That's cool. Like my brain is like, this should be spicy, this should be spicy. So it's a little confusing to eat this. But hey, that's yummy. So I'll take this in with me and finish it with my breakfast. That's good. And the reason I wanted to grow these was because not everybody likes the spicy peppers. So I was going to make some jalapeno poppers with these as well for the part of the family that would prefer not to get a spicy jalapeno popper. And then I have the habanadas. I have not seen peppers on these yet. It looks like they're just starting to form some flowers. So hopefully soon. They are growing a lot slower than everything else. So I don't know if that is normal for a habanero. This one is struggling. I think I'm just gonna pull this out and plant a flower here instead, because I have a couple cosmos that I have over there that didn't die. They were in a completely different area that I didn't show you guys last time. I tried some winter sowing in milk jugs, and only like 3 things came up. There was like 2 cosmos, a couple hollyhocks, but they're still super tiny, and I think maybe butterfly weed. I'm not sure, but not very many things. I had a whole bunch of milk jugs and not very much stuff germinated, but there are 2 cosmos over there, so I'll probably bring those over here and plant them in empty holes. This was an empty hole during the last garden tour, and I put zinnias in there. And I pulled out a couple more bell pepper plants that had died. They were struggling in that last garden tour. And I put some flower seeds in there too. Some of them germinated and some of them did not. The ground cherries, I guess this is why they're called ground cherries, because they seem to be spreading out really close to the ground. I thought they'd be more of a bush, I guess, like more upright. But let's see if I can angle the camera right. There are lots of them under here. None of them are ready. But when they are ready, they're going to be delicious, I hope. I've never had one. And then here are my summer squash. And they are, for the most part, doing really well. These are the 8-ball zucchini. I'll get you in here to see them. There's one right there. I have harvested one of these already. There are a lot. This is just the one plant, and there's 3 that are going to be ready in a day or 2. This one is a darker color like I expected them to be, but most of them Most of them are this lighter color. I'm not sure what that's about, because the package has them with that darker color. I just have two, not two plants, but two holes that I planted in there. There may be more than two plants because I didn't thin them out. And then we've got yellow crookneck. This one here was from like a second or third seeding, and it is much smaller. But maybe it'll take over when the others are petering out. And I've got some squash starting to form on these. The white scallop squash, I also have some squash forming, if I can find them. Let me see. Maybe they're on the ones in the back. Oh yeah. I gotta get you in there. There's one. They're so cute. The early prolific straight neck. It's very puny. That one didn't germinate. And these two are just okay. There is a squash forming on that one. So that's nice. And then these are my pride and joy this year. Particularly that plant back there. These are the Italian striped zucchini. I'm going to come around to the other side. Ooh, I need to pick this one today. Look at that. Awesome. This is the fourth squash. It's the fourth one that I have picked from this plant alone, and that's more zucchini squash than I've ever grown in my entire life. 2 was how many of these I grew last year. And that was the first time I'd successfully grown any zucchini. There are 2 more here that should be ready in a few days, and that is super exciting. Super exciting. I finally unlocked zucchini. I've mentioned before that I've grown, yellow squash and patty pan squash before with no problems, but it's taken me so many years to be able to grow an actual zucchini. I feel like I might be able to participate in that silly joke about locking your car doors because somebody will put zucchini in there. I'll probably share with friends if they want them, but I'm not going to force my zucchini upon anyone who doesn't want it. But who wouldn't want zucchini? It's delicious. We had fried zucchini last night for dinner, which I was so happy turned out well with gluten-free flour. I was nervous about that. I used to use cornmeal and flour mixture, and then I couldn't have corn, and now I can't even have, regular wheat flour. So it's like, I hope this works. Thankfully, it did. They were delicious. And then we have one final type of summer squash. It is a golden zucchini. And they are forming some little zucchinis on here. This one is very interesting. I can get the camera in there to show you well. There are 2 females coming out of the same spot. And I really hope that they both got germinated, because that would be super cool to be able to harvest that. I just think that would be really cool. Which reminds me that on another one of the squashes, there was a double bloom. I can't remember if it was on one of the summer squashes or if it was on one of the winter squashes, but I took a picture of it and to send my sister yesterday, so I'll pop it up on the screen because I doubt I'm going to be able to find it if it was on one of the winter squashes, because it is a jungle in there right now. Next row we have is more indeterminate tomatoes, and these are looking so good and so healthy. I really need to come in and tie them up to this trellis a little better, but there are so many tomatoes. This is probably the biggest one right now. It's a pineapple tomato. There is a pumpkin plant attaching itself to it. And these are Aunt Ruby's German green. Hopefully they're green this time. I grew them one time before, and the seed packet had the wrong seeds in them, and they were all yellow. when they were ripe. So this is the Tommy Toe cherry tomato. Lots and lots of tomatoes. I got a little bit of all of them in here. These are the Great White, I believe. I'm finally on the correct side of the trellis as I walk down. Yeah, more Great White, more Black Russians. I think that's Black Russian. Now, these Black Russians are shaped differently than the ones that I showed you before. Those looked more pear-shaped, and these are rounder. And they are supposed to be round, if my memory serves me correctly. But these are saved seeds. So one time my sister gave me Black Russian seeds, and they ended up being red. And we think that maybe she just mislabeled them, and they were, I can't remember the variety that she was growing at the time. I think it started with a T. It wasn't Bloody Butcher, because those are small. It was something else. Oh, that's gonna bug me. If I remember the name, I'll put it up on the screen. And so it ended up, I think, being that other variety. I think I still have some of those in my seed box. She gave me more Black Russian seeds, and so I think I'm not sure if she isolated the bloom on this one or not, but since I have two different shaped tomatoes, maybe she didn't isolate the blooms and they cross-pollinated again. But that one's definitely getting black shoulders. I'm not seeing black shoulders on these yet, but I also think those tomatoes started producing sooner, like they started coming on sooner than these. So time will tell if these Black Russians will be black or not. There's more big pink, and then more blueberry tomatoes. Now, these blueberries over here are not nearly as dark. I don't think it's for lack of sun, because I think the more sunlight, the more anthocyanins are released or something like that. But it could just be, maybe I haven't pruned enough leaves off of these, I'm not sure. But for some reason the ones over here, they're very healthy looking, but they're not nearly as purple. So that is another strange thing happening. And as you can see, my squashes are growing through a little bit here and there on the trellises, and that's fine. This, I'm just letting this go. It was a branch coming over here, and it was going to be my second leader, because I was going to let it have two stems, but it was so heavy that, like, it looks like it's going to break. So if I try to move this, it's going to just break off. So I'm just going to let it grow here in the walkway. That's fine. But then it did end up having a split up here. Anyway, yeah. I haven't been keeping on top of pruning as much as maybe I should have. Then I have my cucumbers. And these cucumbers are a mess. They are a mess. I have not harvested one cucumber yet, but there are several in here, and we'll see if we can find them. I'm trying to trellis them up, but as you can see, this one here is struggling. It is not looking good at all. There is one cucumber. Looks like an okay size to harvest if I want to make pickles out of it. I don't know what variety this is, because the tags are all buried down there. Ashley, it looks like. So this is an Ashley cucumber. That's exciting. Let's see if we can find some more. I mean, there's more little ones. This one might be a muncher cucumber, maybe. Yes, that one's a muncher cucumber. I just heard a meow, so there may be a garden kitty joining us. Oh, yep, there she is. There's my Daisy. Hi. Hi, Daisy. She's keeping a watch out for the dogs to make sure they don't show up. But That's nice to see her out here. I was expecting it to be Hazel because Hazel comes out here into the garden a lot more often than Daisy does. Let's see what else we can find. There's a bunch of little bitty somethings in there. Some kind of cucumber. Oh, that was a tender green. But you can just hear, I mean, you can see there's a pollinator there, but these cucumbers are just buzzing all the time. So I know stuff is getting pollinated in this garden. There is a white wonder, and there are several of these. There's one there. Again, struggle bus right here with these. And they're growing into the walkway. There's another one. There's some more. Wow, there's a bunch of them there. So pretty soon I'm going to be having cucumbers. I'm hoping to have plenty to eat fresh, but also I would like to make dill spears and dill chips this year. And if there's enough, maybe I'll make some relish as well. We will see. Now the baby Persians that are over in that other section, Daisy's finally coming up to me. Hi, kitty. The baby Persians that are in the other section of the garden, I'm hoping to eat those fresh, but also maybe to make sweet pickles with them. You know how they have the whole sweet pickles that are really small in a jar? That's what I'm hoping to do with those, because they're the perfect size for that, and that's just how big they get. So hopefully those will do well as well. And now on to the pumpkin and melon patch. This section of the garden is bringing me so much joy this year. This is just so exciting to see how big and fast everything is growing over here. And I'm excited to share it with you, and we will see what we can find together. Because it's a little hard to navigate right now because there is just so many vines growing all over the place. Just take a look at all of this beauty. Oh my goodness. There's just so much of it. It's so exciting. So over here are the watermelons. The Moon and Star watermelons are off to a very slow start, so I may not get any of those because they take quite a while to mature, and it took a long time to get the seeds to germinate for those. But we will definitely have plenty of the other kind of watermelon that I planted, which is the Sugar Baby watermelon. They are taking over everything. There's one there. There's lots of little bitty ones. Oh, there's a bigger one here. Where else? Where else? See, these vines coming out here, these are all the Sugar Babies. There's another little one. Little tiny one over there. Somewhere in there. There we go. Now you can see it. So there are lots and lots of them. Here's another one. And if you've been watching, you know we got this up, but if you haven't, we got the landscape fabric under the fence finally. The honeydew melons are next. They were the first to put on flowers, but I haven't seen any fruit on them. I was walking around in there yesterday trying to see what I could find, and I found nothing. Then we have 2 rows of delicata squash, I think. Yes. Now these 2 plants here at the end seem to be struggling, and I'm hoping it's just that they want some water, because I didn't find any bug damage on them. I didn't find any evidence that the squash vine borer had found them. I haven't seen any evidence of that at all on my property yet. I'm sure those and the squash bugs will be coming, but there are delicata squash forming on some of these. Yay, look at that. And they get a little bigger than that in my experience with them, but not too much bigger. So that one is doing really well. I mean, just look how big everything is getting. It's so cool. Then the next row after these 2 rows of delicata is, I believe, sweet dumpling. Unless this is sweet dumpling. No, okay. Delicata. Over here is sweet dumpling. Sorry. I'm just doing this by memory. And I think I saw one of them forming yesterday, but let me see if I can find it. Okay, I found it. There it is. Let's make our way back through this mess of vines. This is a nice easy area to go through because the sweet dumpling are not so big yet. Then we have the 2 rows of delicata and then acorn. This is a vining acorn squash that's called early acorn, and there are lots of these little acorn squash forming. This one is vining like crazy all over the place too. And then we have the bush acorn squash, I believe it's called Table King, and it's nice and a big bush, nice and tall. This one in particular, that is so big. The leaves are so big, but I have not seen any forming on these yet, I don't think. Just lots of male flowers so far, but I'm sure pretty soon those will show up. This next row, nothing ever germinated in this hole, and I haven't replanted it, and I probably won't at this point unless I put like a summer squash in there. But this next row is Burgess Buttercup, and they are at varying sizes right now. I think the last time I grew this one, it was like a trap crop for the squash bugs, and that was not at this property. I grew it on a trellis, and I didn't get one squash off of it. There were squash that were growing. Oh, there's another early acorn, but I didn't get any. They either didn't get pollinated properly or the squash bugs killed them, something like that. But they don't have any squash producing yet. And then the row after that is nothing germinated there, even after planting it 2 or 3 times. And then this is what I don't know if it's a second or third planting for most of these other ones, but these are pie pumpkins. These are actually, these little ones here are seeds that I saved from a science experiment I did with my preschoolers called Pumpkin Jack. So this was Pumpkin Jack pumpkin. So another sentimental saved seed that I hope does well so I can continue to save seeds from it. I might have a couple seeds left, but I don't remember. But there is the first planting down there is actually doing a lot better. There's one of my sunflowers. There's another one. There's some smaller ones that hopefully can grow before they get shaded out too much by all of the squash plants. This one is the first planting of the pie pumpkins, and so it's a lot bigger because it's had a much bigger head start. Then we get to the bigger pie pumpkins, I suppose you could say. These are Dickinson pumpkins here. Then Musc de Provence with those beautiful leaves. And green striped cushaw. The green striped cushaw is this one that kind of just a little speckled leaves, and it's vining like crazy. Like it's all the way over in here, past, like going into the Dickinson, so it's skipped over a row and it's going over that way past the watermelons into my miniature decorative pumpkins. So it's going nuts. I have not really seen squashes developing on these 3 plants, or pumpkins, same thing basically. I think pumpkins are a squash. I haven't seen any yet, but also it's so... Oh, I see something. Haha! I just saw it right now. Look at that. That is... I don't know which one it is, because the plants are so mixed up right now. From the location, it should be a Mustard Provence, but it could very well be one of the other 2. It looks like there's a Dickinson coming along this way. So yeah, we've got all 3 plants right here. The Dickinson, the Cushaw, and the Mustard Provence. Right here, all where that one is. So I will know what they are when they start producing, like when they get bigger, because they do look different one from the other. Might be a little hard between the Dickinson and the Mustard Provence, I think, but the green striped Cushaw definitely looks a lot different. It's green striped. It's green and white striped. So that one will definitely be an easy guess. And if I can't figure it out, I'll send a picture to my sister, because I actually got seeds for all 3 of these from her. So she's been growing them for a while and she knows what they look like, I'm sure. Next we have more watermelons. And the watermelons in this section, I think, are doing even better than the watermelons down there, which may be a little counterintuitive since they're getting overtaken by some of the squash. But up there in that section, there's a whole bunch of watermelons. I'll see if I can get over there, but it is pretty dense over here right now. So this, oh, there's a watermelon growing in the middle of these miniature pumpkins. So we've got miniature white pumpkins, then miniature orange pumpkins in this row. So 3 sections of 3 plantings of each. And then I've got my jack-o'-lantern style pumpkins and my giant white pumpkins. So let's see what we can see in here. Over here, I believe I saw a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin the other day. Aha. And there's a small jack-o'-lantern pumpkin that may or may not have been germinated. There is a giant white. I saw a bigger jack-o'-lantern style pumpkin. No, there's another small one. Oh, and there's a nice one of the white pumpkins. That's cool. Now let me see if I can get over to those watermelons. This right here is the biggest watermelon so far. There's one there. And there's another one there. There were more. I saw a whole bunch of them over here yesterday. Gotta get the right angle, I guess. Aha! There's another one that's pretty decent size so far. Oh, I showed you that one already, but there's 2 right next to each other. So, not only are there a bunch right here in this small area, but they are getting to be pretty decent sized. They're bigger every day when I come out here to check on the garden, and it's so exciting. Even if they don't get really big, there's still going to be a lot of little ones to eat, and they will still be edible if they are little. One year we harvested a bunch of them that were just like maybe that big, and we cut them in half and scooped them out with a spoon and ate them, and they were good, but they were just really little. So if that's the case, that's the case. We'll see, but would really love it if it would rain some more. I think all of the plants would appreciate it. I would appreciate it, so I didn't have to water. Oh, and I just spotted something. I spotted a miniature white pumpkin. So that is exciting. It's the first one I've seen. So thank you for hanging out with me today on this garden tour. This is so exciting. I just love all of these vines. And I cannot wait till next month to see what else there is. But now I'm gonna go inside and have my breakfast and then can some green beans. And, ooh, hold on. I found that big jack-o'-lantern that I saw before. There it is. That is the one I saw yesterday. It is looking pretty good. But thank you again for coming along with me on this tour, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Bye!